Jets Ward.
ETS Jets. What is going on, Jet fans? And welcome back to another episode of the Jets Ward. I am your host, Ryan Ward, and I'm so excited to be back with you guys. I got a fun one for you. But first, if you have been here before, welcome back. You know I love having you guys here. It is a great place to be because you guys keep coming back for more. And if you are new here, welcome. Whether you're a Jets fan of another NFL team, or just a casual NFL fan, you are always welcome here. It is a safe space for you. So, guys, the NFL draft has come and gone. And we're starting to see these teams starting to bring in undrafted free agents, building up their rosters. And the NFL draft is always a very, very important thing for these teams because they bring in new young talent, new coaching staffs looking for players that meet their system. And what this could cause is players who have been on teams for a little while, or even a majority of their career, could be on the move, whether it be getting cut or trades. But this year, what I wanted to talk to you guys about are some players that really could be on the move just because of the NFL draft and what their teams have done. Now, some of these moves could have happened beforehand, before the NFL draft. Some of these could have happened that night. So let's get into it. And we're not going to go into players who were rumored to go before the draft, like A.J. Brown getting traded on June 1st or something like that. The rumors about that going to the Patriots. Anthony Richardson, we know he's going to get moved at some point, just don't know when. Will Levis isn't going to be mentioned in these ones. These are going to be shocking players that I think could be on the move, sneaky ones. So let's get into it. The first one is, I will say, has been mentioned as somebody the Jets fans would like to go after. And it does make a lot of sense because before the draft, the Denver Broncos traded for Jalen Waddle. They have Courtland Sutton. They brought back Lil Jordan Humphrey. They have Jalen Waddle now, Courtland Sutton. They have all of these receivers, Bryant as well. Troy Franklin seems to be like the odd man out over there. And Mims, they have Marvin Mims as well. Troy Franklin, only 23 years old. He's 6'3", 180 pounds. Was coming up big for them last year. He's a bigger-bodied receiver, quick, strong hands, very young, still has a ton of upside. But he could be the odd man out because he can play in the slot, he can play on the outside. Jalen Waddle coming in might bump him from his spot and might take away looks from him. And I think the Broncos, really for a young receiver like this, could get something back from him, maybe a fourth-round pick for his talent. Because I think teams are going to be interested. And I think the Broncos would be very interested in taking calls and getting what they can and opening up some space for some of these younger receivers that they might have here. So Troy Franklin, very interesting option. Does he get traded? Not sure. But could it happen? I definitely think he could be the one on the move. Marvin Mims is another one that could possibly be on the move, but he adds a lot to the special teams. So Troy Franklin, I think, would be the odd man out in Denver. But now, getting into the next person, we get to Dillon Gabriel. And the reason for this one, Todd Monken, it's seeming like, is picking between two quarterbacks at this point. They got Deshaun Watson, who's looking like the clear favorite to start there. Then they got Shedeur, who played last year and didn't look bad, looking at being QB number 2. And the Browns drafted Taylon Green from Arkansas, a quarterback who's very large, very quick, very athletic, strong arm as well, who has a tremendous amount of upside. Where does that leave Dillon Gabriel? I think it leaves Dillon Gabriel on the outside looking in. I could definitely see a team looking at him and sending a pick over for Dillon Gabriel, a late round pick. Had a rough time starting last year, but I think under the right tutelage could be good. He's accurate. He makes smart decisions. And he doesn't have the strongest arm, but when he's not under duress and when he's got a clear pocket, he can make the throws that you need him to do. So the Browns, the offensive line was a disaster last year. So Dylan Gabriel and even Shedeur did not have a lot of time. They made mistakes. They were rookies. I think Dylan Gabriel can learn from that and can get better. So as a solid number 2 QB, I think Dylan Gabriel opens up a lot for some of these teams. He's only 25 years old and still upside. 5'11", 205 pounds. So get him in the right situation, and I think he could be very, very solid as a number 2 quarterback for years to come. But I think he could be someone for the Browns that could be on the move at this point with all of the quarterbacks that they have there already. Now, going into the third one, we had Keon Coleman, and I understand Bills fans, the GM made comments about him in the offseason, early in the offseason. They have their new head coach, who was their offensive coordinator, and says that he wants him here, that he's excited about him, going to open him up a lot more. But look at the roster they have. They just traded for DJ Moore, who came over, number 1 receiver already. You got Khalil Shakir. You got Palmer, who's still there. And they're adding more talent to this receiving core. They got Skylar Bell as well, who has a ton of upside, who could be a fantastic receiver from UConn. I think a steal for them. They also got 3 solid passing tight ends as well. Dawson Knox. They have Dalton Kincaid. They have some of these players that are going to get their touches as well. Keon Coleman has been rough since being drafted by them. He has a ton of upside, a bigger bodied receiver, 6'3", 213 pounds. But it just seems like his focus isn't always there. And he can make the acrobatic catches. He can make the amazing plays. But they're so few and far between at this point. And now that they're building more on that receiving core, it's looking like he keeps dropping. And he's so young and has tons of talent. I think a team would take a shot on him. And I think could really open him up if he's put in the right situation with the right receiver coach who can unlock that, possibly in San Francisco, somewhere like that. Shanahan gets the best out of his players, receivers especially, and maybe in Atlanta with Stefanski now, Shanahan, or I just said Shanahan, McVay over in the Rams, putting as the number 3 receiver over there, could be very fun behind Adams and Puka Nacua. So Keon Coleman is a player. They keep saying they're not going to trade him and stuff like that. I don't buy it. I think if they got the right offer, 3rd round pick, maybe 4th round, I think they'd be willing to part with him just because of the depth that they have at the receiver position. But Keon Coleman is a player to watch this offseason. Then we get into the next one, Caleb Johnson. I really think the Pittsburgh Steelers could be interested in trading him. He's 22 years old, solid as a kick returner and punt returner, but you still have Jaylen Warren. You just paid a good amount of money to Rico Dowdle as well, who could be your number 1 running back in Pittsburgh. Caleb Johnson bumped to running back 3, running back 4 now. I thought he was going to get more carries. I thought the coaching staff was going to like him a little bit more. But new head coach, new offensive system. They got Dowdle in there now. They still got Warren. Caleb Johnson could be the odd man out. And I think a team is going to take a chance on him. He's got a ton of upside. Adds a lot on the special team side of the ball as well. But the young upside doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires, as they would call it for running backs. And physical runner too. When he gets the ball in his hands, he will run through somebody. He's physical as heck and just a tough kid. I think if given a chance, he could open up a ton for another team. I just don't see it in Pittsburgh. I could definitely see him getting moved at some point this offseason. Now, continuing on. This is a little one that's out there. I have Alec Ayomanor from the Tennessee Titans, 22 years old, 6'2", 206 pounds, wide receiver. Was their number 2 receiver last year behind Calvin Ridley. They still have Calvin Ridley. They just drafted Carnell Tate at pick 4. They got Wan'Dale Robinson in free agency. Robert Saleh and Brian Dable bringing in their players. They weren't there when Alec Ayamanor was there. So they might see him as not a good fit for their system. They might try it out, but I could definitely see him getting traded at some point. I just think there's a ton of upside. He's a big physical receiver, willing blocker as well. But I just don't know if he's going to be a fit in that Brian Dable type of offense, especially with all these new players getting added in to that system. So Alec Ayamanor, I could definitely see young upside receiver getting moved at some point this offseason. Maybe the Raiders could be a solid fit, getting them another receiving threat to help out your new quarterback in Kirk Cousins and in Fernando Mendoza. So a guy who could be relied on for them, that could be a fun one. Jacksonville could always use another receiver. I doubt they trade them there. Arizona, possibly, could be a fun one to watch. Minnesota. Just thoughts on teams that he could go to that I think he'd be a great fit for. Then, lastly, we get into this guy, James Conner, and I think it's obvious. They signed Tyler Algier from the Falcons this offseason to come in and be their number one running back, but then they shocked the world at pick 3, taking Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. And James Conner just coming off a season-ending injury as well. He's getting older. He's 30 years old, 6'1", 233 pounds. When he's healthy, he's a rock. He's physical, solid running back. But now he's getting pushed down the depth chart. The Falcons are coming out and saying that they don't want to overuse Jeremiah Love right off the bat. But, again, you just signed Tyler Algier too. There's not enough rock to go around to all of these running backs. They have I think they might still have DeMarcado. He might have left in free agency. But even with that being said, he's going to be pushed down the depth chart, especially as an older running back coming off an injury with 2 younger guys ahead of you who have tons of upside. I think he goes to a team. The Seahawks could make a lot of sense for him. The Jets, honestly, could make a lot of sense for him because talks right now with Breece Hall don't seem to be going the way they want to. So getting a sure thing behind him could be interesting, especially if something were to happen to Breece. But the Patriots could be a fun one. The Bills to take a lot off James Cook could be a fun one. There's a lot of teams who I think would be interested in James Conner. But these are all the guys that I think could be moved after the draft. And since the draft is over with all these moves that were made, I think they can be moved at any point, especially some of the later guys that I talked about. But I would love to hear from you guys as well. Are there any players on other teams that I didn't mention that you think could be on the move? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell for any notifications when I post videos, just so you stay updated on what's going on in the Jets ward. Also, follow me on X, Instagram, and on TikTok. I try to post all my videos and shorts there as well, just so you see me on other platforms. But other than that, guys, you know I love you. You know I appreciate you guys. And I thank you so much for joining me in the JETS Jets Ward. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
The Jets Ward.